How many years ago did we meet?
2018.
It's been a while. Okay. Who did you clerk for back then?
Dean.
Dean Fisher. Okay. Yeah. Well, it's good to be with you guys. My name is Jim Carlin, and thanks for having me in. We appreciate it. Really good talk with your sheriff. You guys definitely have a very sharp sheriff looking out for your interests and your families and stuff and doing some good things there. I'm a candidate for the U.S. Senate. And, I was thinking the other day, because I think we're probably, I don't know, I think we're probably in the same age range here, probably. I don't know. What do you think? Probably 50 to, whatever. And, but I was thinking, when we were kids, did you guys have like a single income earning family? My dad was the breadwinner, right? And I looked this up. Do you know how much the government was taking back in the 70s out of each dollar he earned? It was 35 cents a dollar even back then. Kind of surprising, right? Do you know what it is now? It's 52 cents. They have the Tax Freedom Day thing, which I think they put in May. But right now it's 52 cents. Now, if somebody gets more than half of your paycheck, you are a slave. Well, if that's the trajectory, that's the course correction that we have to make. And like, I'm a trial lawyer, and I'm also kind of a research junkie kind of a guy. And we'll get into that. A little bit of background about me. I am married to my wife, Donna. We've been together 30 years. She was my very first client. She was. I met her in singles. I actually did her divorce. And we got married 3 years later. It sounds shady, but it wasn't. It wasn't shady. I asked the Lord for a kind woman. He gave me a good woman. And that guy had already left her, and I got a great wife in that deal. And we raised 3 kids. We got 3 grandkids. Go to a lot of ball games like you guys do, I'm sure, right? And I'm a veteran. I served back in the 80s with Reagan. We didn't have any problems back then with President Reagan. But I also served in the State House as a House rep and as a senator for 6 years. And actually, I know Jeff Edler very well. And he and I actually got some really good things done here locally. We'll get into that a little bit, but I've also had a law practice in Sioux City for 34 years. And that's my backdrop. So the reason why I'm getting into this is pretty simple. I'm sure a lot of you have grandchildren, right? All right, so if you're honest and you look ahead, you got your, I don't want to say crystal ball, but let's say you can look into the future. What do you guys see for them? It is kind of scary, isn't it? Well, so like that begs a question, right? Because we're talking about this course correction. I think President Trump, thank goodness he came along when he did, because I honestly don't know where we would be right now. We'd probably be dancing in a dumpster, right? We probably would. But here's the thing. What are we going to do? So just some of the everyday metrics that we're all affected by. Housing. We've all seen the housing go way, way up. Groceries, healthcare, student loans. Now here's the thing. Do you think the government had anything to do with those prices going way up? Well, of course they did. And it's not just inflation. It's not just inflation. All right, so like housing. Did you know the price of a house has gone up 45% since COVID? Did you know that? Do you know why? Anybody? Do you guys think that's market engineered, or why is that?
Free money for immigration to buy houses.
The monetary policy of the Federal Reserve poured hundreds of billions of dollars in cash into residential real estate. 35% of new home purchases are now investors. And when they did it during COVID, the interest rates were 0%. So they're flush with cash, and they put it into the stock market, and they put it into the real estate market. And so here's what happens. The price of the housing goes beyond the reach of our grandkids and our kids, right? Folks, that outcome wasn't random. It was intended. Now, if I want to make a lot of money and I'm a primary dealer bank in the Federal Reserve, you flood that sector with cash, you already know the outcome. It's a pretty safe bet. You know what else you know? People are going to need to borrow more money to pay for the house. So you're going to make money on the increase of the asset, and you're going to make money, and I'm probably getting in a little too much detail here, but here's the bottom line. As they're printing the trillions, who's getting the bill for the inflation? You see what I mean? That isn't serving us, folks. That's what? Right, that's what it is. Can I ask you, how's your health care overall? Is it better or worse than before Obama helped us out by making it as unaffordable as he possibly could? Right? All right, so I do a little bit of medical malpractice law. I don't like what I'm saying. Did you know what Obamacare really did? What did it really do? It created a monopoly in healthcare. Do you know what happens when a monopoly gets created? We don't have a voice any longer because they get to decide the market outcomes. That's why everybody's premiums have gone way up, right? But you know what? They say it's from medical costs. You know what the truth is? Our premiums have gone up 200%. Do you know how much their profits have gone up? 230%. So is it the costs or is it the profits? Well, I'll also tell you, full disclosure, I'm a free market capitalist. By the way, I've studied Milton Friedman. I have an economics background. But don't ask me to smile my way through a rigged game. When the middle class of this country are getting the crap beat out of them in a K-shaped economy, where if you own stocks and you own real estate, you're going to do okay. And if you're a young family and you don't own a house yet, you're going to get the snot slapped out of you. Okay? That's my concern. Student loans got monopolized with the federal government, the same thing. Our kids now are paying twice as much, and they're paying higher interest when Obama made that affordable for them. He's such a kind man. It's just a big misunderstanding, right? My grandson is going to college next year. He's getting a lot of scholarship money. You know what else he's still getting? $20,000 plus in student loan debt for every year he goes at higher interest. Now, if he wants to start a family, what does that look like for him? If he wants to own a home and start a family. So that's my deal. Now, I'm going to talk about my solution to that, but before I get there, are you sure you want to give a lawyer an hour? Have you guys had some drinks or what's going on here? Anyway,
You're charging us?
Dale, send that man a bill. You heard him. That's called informed consent to receive a bill right there. So, a little bit about me, because there's a big contrast between myself and Ashley Henson. I don't listen. I'm just going to make my case, and you guys decide yourself whether or not I'm making my case. Okay. When I was in the State House, I worked with a guy named Jeff Edler. And he and I were senator colleagues, we're buddies, hanging out.
Never heard of him.
And I've thought about disavowing that knowledge as well. But But we walked into the veterans home one day, and they asked us to come visit. And we said, well, okay, why? They said, well, they're taking away our cigarettes. No, they were ticked. And so, we drive out here, and there's a room full, there's like 90 guys in wheelchairs, and they're pissed because you're taking away their social time. They're mad. And I actually did a nursing home visitation program. It sounds a little odd. I used to coach a little bit of football and did some missions work in Kenya. But part of my journey involved visiting nursing homes. I kid you not. So I knew the questions to ask, and I'm like, are they giving you guys, are they beating you up? Are they? And they said no. And I said, well, are they taking your money? And they said no. And I said, well, are they threatening you? All the hands go up. You go, threatening you? What are they threatening you with? They put 4 of our friends in the Alzheimer's ward for complaining about having their cigarettes taken from them. Yeah. Well, listen, if they control your food and your drugs and they lock the door, that's not a good thing for a guy who used to be a war fighter and now you're in a wheelchair, right? So I looked over at that commandant and I said, you know where we're going? Yeah, we're going to go visit those 4 guys right now, buddy. And Senator Edler and I followed him. The first 3 guys are right as rain, and number four had been drugged. They wouldn't let us go in to see him. They're like, you know what? He's getting dressed in his, he's naked. I'm like, well, I used to coach football. It's probably nothing I haven't seen before. I'm okay with that. They wouldn't let me in. They made me wait. So I'm telling you this story for a reason. We finally get in there. The poor guy's eyes were completely jet black. He'd been drugged. He looked like he was on outer space. He couldn't talk. He was, drooling on himself. And I thought, you bastards, what the hell did you do to my boy? He's one of us. Well, anyway, we turned him in. Commandant's name was Timon Ori. I don't know if you guys remember old Timon. Okay. Well, we turned him in. He got fired for stealing $100,000. So, he did. He got fired for stealing $100,000. And the Department of Inspections and Appeals said, you were right. That's what happened. And they gave me the Veterans Trust Fund because I was a Senate Veterans Affairs chair. And when I looked into it, they have the thing called the Veterans Trust Fund. There's $30 million in it, and they got the interest from the $30 million. And I said, well, how much interest are you giving the veterans? And they said 0.8%. Is that a good return? Is it really about helping them? Because they do need stuff. A lot of our veterans are in rough shape and they need stuff. I went to the treasurer and I'm like, you manage this. You also manage the state pension system, right? I said, why aren't you giving my veterans the same deal that you are giving the retirees on their interest? She didn't have an answer. And then I said, let's make it that way. And 2 years later, we now make 10 times as much. And they have a whole lot more money. Now, why tell you that? Because, I don't look the other way when you're screwing somebody over. I don't. And whatever that requires of me, I'm in. Whatever that requires. And so, I'm watching this game unfold where instead of the veterans being screwed over, I think it's our kids and our grandkids. And I'm not going to look the other way just because I'm only going to be around, whatever many years. I'm getting in the game now. And I am not a guy, you can't intimidate me. Because in my head, I'm already dead and gone. If you live that way, you can live kind of fearlessly. When you're a soldier, if you accept the fact that you're dead and gone, then you can fight a good fight. Okay? Well, what's the difference between me and Ashley? I actually supported President Trump. Did you know the night before the caucuses, Ashley was rallying people to caucus for Nikki Haley? She actually did that. So here's the thing. She posted that on her X account. Now, do you guys know anything about USAID? It's a good thing or bad thing? What do you think? Not a good thing. Why not?
It's a money laundering institution.
Okay. And who's funding that thing?
We are the federal government.
We are. Who uses it?
Foreign governments.
And the CIA. It's a way to have, it's a way to do bad things through an unaccountable private sector, non-governmental entity called an NGO. And there's two of them. Now, Ashley voted to continue funding both of them. Now, do you guys remember when we had 20 million illegal aliens come across our border? How'd you like that? Got any fans of that here? When that was going on, she voted to send $100 billion to Ukraine. Are you good with that?
No.
I'm not good with that. Well, you know, my faith is my life. I believe marriage is between a man and a woman. Right? I do. I don't apologize for that. She voted against that, and now every state has to recognize gay marriage. I'm not good with that. And, say whatever you want to about me. I don't care. I'm not good with it. I think it's wrong. All right. Well, there's a whole litany of things. You think the federal government should be able to spy on you without a warrant? She voted so they could. See, it's like the thing is this. We think we're electing candidates. You know what the truth is? And this is a hard truth. We're electing donors. We're electing donors. Now, how would I illustrate that? If a country is run by banks, that country is always going to be in debt, right? If a country is run by pharmaceutical companies, the country is always going to be sick, stoned. Okay. If a country is run by a military-industrial complex, you're always going to be at war. I got interviewed a couple weeks ago by a Green Beret on a national podcast. And I said, at what point when you were in Iraq did you realize this wasn't a war, it was a business? And when I served in the 80s, I served with some very valiant men who fought in Vietnam. Very brave men, very guys I would trust my life with. And I looked at them and I said, why'd you guys lose? I mean, why'd you lose? You know what do they all say? They didn't let us win. Winning was never on the table for our veterans. Now, here's the thing. I actually believe President Trump is going to bring this thing. You know why I believe it? This is what I love about Trump. Trump cuts the head off the snake right off day one. He's like, you know what? We're not going to have drawn out battles. We're not going to play that way. We're just going to go for the head of the snake. And that's how we're going to play this. And I truly believe we're not going to be in a long, protracted ground war. And you want to know something else? I wouldn't support that. I wouldn't support that. But I do support him. And he's made some deposits in my personal trust account, And sometimes you can disagree with people. But when I look at what he's been through, and he's still standing, that carries some weight with me, honestly. So what would I do? Like if you guys give me the job, because I'm here, this is a job interview. What would I do? I think we have to do three things. And each one of these things has some pieces to it. Number one, we got to stop the bleeding. We have got to stop the bleeding. And what I mean by that is our money and the value of our money. This might sound crazy. It's not crazy to me. It's called a balanced budget. That's not crazy. Or you cap the money supply growth so that it's predictable and stable. Because honestly, one of the best things we could do for the economy is to live within our means. Because inflation, you know what inflation is? It's a billionaire's tax on us. It's a billionaire's tax. The next thing we need to do, I think we need to audit the Federal Reserve because there's no accountability there. I think we need to audit the Federal Reserve. Okay? And do you guys remember back in the 70s when we had gold and silver? Our currency was backed by what? Gold and silver. What happens to the dollar when we departed from that? It's just a piece of paper, folks. Well, do you remember what happened with inflation after we did that? You guys remember that? Do you remember the gas lines? Do you remember the inflation? Remember inflation was crazy back then? We never had inflation like that until we got off the gold standard. Now, what I would suggest that we look at a return to gold and silver. And maybe, Vivek Ramaswamy said something that really made sense to me. A basket of commodities. We have to get something behind the value of a dollar besides a printing press and a fiat currency. Because our system right now incentivizes inflation for the rich and the powerful. And I don't mean to sound like a Democrat, okay, because I'm not. The Democrats, we're going to do a billionaires. No, you're not. By the way, I don't believe in the whole billionaires tax thing. I just think, here's what I believe. I believe we have to watch who's running our lives through the government and be smart about it. That's what I believe. The next thing I would say to you is we have to secure our borders and our sovereignty. Now, here's the deal. There are now 20 million illegal aliens on our soil that got in there in 4 years. Here's an interesting fun fact. 60% of them are on welfare assistance. We get the bill for that. Okay? Here's the other thing about that. We get the crime with that. We also have a threat to our national security because we don't know who went across our borders with that, right? We have to be smart about that. Now, here's another threat that's out there, and I don't know if you guys are paying attention to what's going on in Western Europe. Are you? Have you guys been to Detroit recently? You been to Philly, or have you been to Texas? I just visited a friend who was dying down in Texas. We have to ban Sharia law before it's a problem here.
Amen.
We do. We have to ban Sharia law here before we're going to have to deal with what they're dealing with in Western Europe. Now, we have to keep Iowa farmland in American hands. And I don't mean huge corporate farms buying it up. We need to keep our farm ground in. It's got to be owned by us. We can't let China buy it up anymore. We can't let them do it like these sneaky games that they play, where they send a nice-looking guy out there in overalls, and it looks like the sweetest guy in the world, and he's there on behalf of. He's a proxy for China or for, We have to be sure that we don't allow that to happen because it is happening. We lost the pork industry to China, folks. And the game is being framed up right now to where farmers are contract labor. They have no voice on inputs. They have no voice on their meat or their grain. And did you know 28,000 farms disappear every year? They're not being protected. And that is not free market outcome driven for the people who work our soil and feed the world. That's not driven by free market. They're not being treated fairly. The last thing I want to say is we have to put people ahead of the machine, because there is a machine. And it's a machine that's not working for us, it's working against us. And one of the ways that machine operates is politicians who've been there way too long. We have to have term limits, folks, because otherwise politicians become institutionalized bureaucrats who stop listening to us. That's what happens, okay? President Trump just recently said this. I agree with him 1,000%. You have to ban congressional stock trading.
Yeah.
You know what else you should probably ban? You can't have family members serve in the lobby because trades get made to get people jobs with lobby. The other thing is, if you're going to be you're going to be a representative or a senator, we're going to ask you to sign a pledge to never serve in the lobby. Because deals get made, and our interests are what's being traded, right? All right. Now here's the last thing, because this is something that's affected me personally in this race. Ashley Hinson has millions and millions of dollars. Did you know Raytheon makes $80 billion a year from the United States government? $80 billion. One company, $80 billion. Now that's not their profit, but that's what they bring in. Our government has become a business. For profit, and we're the ones being sold. And the way to correct that, at least part of the way to correct that, you have to get rid of super PACs. Citizens United needs to be overturned with a constitutional amendment. You cannot have a billionaire be able to write a check to a nonprofit who can funnel it in to a super PAC and run a straw man campaign against somebody and think you have legit election integrity. Until you have campaign finance reform, you do not have, in my mind, election integrity. Election integrity means, to me, one person, one vote. Well, if I'm a billionaire and I can buy hundreds of thousands of dollars of advertising or millions of dollars of advertising, does maybe your millions count more than my vote? We gotta level up our game on elections, folks. I think we need to be really honest and really self-aware, because this is the bottom line for me. We're being robbed. We're being robbed by sharks. Sharks who are smart. Sharks who know how to take from us because we're good, moral people. We trust people. But the problem is this. We're trusting our lives and our children's lives with people that are not looking after us. I'm not Joe Holy Joe, but if you look at my record in the State House, you'll know that I actually really did look after people, and I meant it, because this is, I think, the single most defining thing of our generation is this. What did we do? And veterans, I'm speaking to you, because you fought for this. What did we do to preserve our children's freedom and their American dream? That's going to be what defines us. Did we do something or didn't we? But here's something else I want to tell you. I believe, and I believe this to the core of my being, with God's help, we can get it done. We need three things. We need truth, and we're getting some truth out on all kinds of things. But you know what else we need? And I'm almost done here. I want to believe in America again, but I'm probably not going to until I see Hillary in a bright orange jumpsuit making some new friends. I mean, wouldn't you start believing again if you saw Hillary be taken into a prison with barbed wire? And wouldn't that make you feel good? Hillary, that would make me feel so good if I saw you in prison. Because the thing is, unless there's justice, that's how we get our country back. When the bad guys go to prison, then we get our freedom back. Because unless there's justice, we got a lot of organized crime dressed up in a political monkey suit. I want better for my children than that. So you guys can reach me at carlinforussenate.com. And I'll be glad to, so here's the thing. We need barn signs. If you guys live in like a big, thoroughfare where there's visibility, would you please tell us? Because we'd love to give you a barn sign. If you would take a yard sign from us today, we'd really appreciate that. We want a straw poll. 1,000 vote sample, like somewhere between 950 and 1,000. We want 5446. This deal ain't over. She got 15,000 petitions, but you know how she did it? She probably sent out, did you get one of her mailers? She sent out hundreds of thousands of mailers to get 15,000 signatures. Is that right? Well, I don't know. This is a real race, and we're going to win. And we're going to win because people like you care enough to get on board. We also need money. If you can write us a check or donate online, that's where the rubber meets the road. Because this thing is not cheap, and we got to get our message out. So with that, I'll be glad to take any questions from you guys. Yeah.
Where do you stand on the SAVE Act?
I probably,
Right now.
I,
see you in all 50 states, all senators,
Yeah.
including Hinson, well, she's not a senator.
Yeah.
Ernst and Grassley both need to be voting for Iowa.
They do.
For we the people.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. And if you don't have to show an ID at an election,
We drive our vehicle.
you can't buy a bottle of beer without an ID,
Amen.
but you can vote to determine that who's the next United States president. Come on.
So we need it.
We need the SAVE Act. I'd be 1,000%. I did a lot of work on election integrity at the State House. I had a bill with watermark ballots with serial numbers, so everybody's ballot had an ID number for that person so that you knew exactly who voted, right? They didn't let it go. That didn't even get a subcommittee. That's a whole nother conversation. But on election integrity, I actually had close to 500 people removed from Woodbury County's rolls because they were either dead or they moved. And I went to the auditor and I said, hey, you need to take these people off because I don't want a dead man determining the outcome of our next election, okay? Fair enough, right? You bet. Anybody else? Yeah.
You gotta fix the court system. If you want to put
What
Hillary in
aspect
jail,
of
you're
it?
gonna have to fix the court system.
Yeah.
The federal district courts are like
Yeah.
worse, useless.
Grassley's
They're political court. Well,
Put them on a train.
no, so the good thing is now district courts can't trump presidents and congressmen and senators. That change was made.
But they're not penalized for trying, which slows the process down.
I think that's fair. So if you knowingly, intentionally violate or delay the process and you have a frame of it that's definable, why not hold them to that standard? I would agree. I'm a lawyer.
Every day.
I agree with that. No, you're right, because the left has figured out you can weaponize the court system to get whatever you want.
Schumer bragged about that.
Yeah,
Before
yeah,
Biden left office,
absolutely.
that they got a lot of
So
good
I think we also need a Department of Justice that actually wants to do its job. And I'm more than a little disappointed with what I've seen so far on Epstein. I think that is a big deal. I think we do need to get to the bottom of that whole thing. Because if I'm wrong and you tell me the truth and I'm wrong, I'm totally good with that because I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to be wrong. Just tell me the truth, make the case why it's the truth. I'm not so ideologically regimented that you can't talk me out of it. Just show me the truth because the truth is always the best path. And I think the truth will lead to justice and then freedom. We need to see some people go to prison. Anthony Fauci should be in prison. He should be. We still don't know what's going on We don't know how many, like I know 2 people personally that died from the vaccination within weeks of getting it, and they were healthy. They both died of brain blood clots within 2 weeks of being vaccinated. Is that a coincidence? How many people in this room know somebody who had a serious adverse outcome or died after receiving the vaccination? Can you hold your hands up for a second? Do you see that? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 out of 25 people in this room know somebody who died or had a serious adverse outcome. And our data right now is saying nothing anywhere near that. So what does that mean? It means we're not being told the truth. I sat through a presentation 2 nights ago where the CDC, or what was the federal agency? Do you know they haven't researched whether or not vaccinations give kids autism? They actually got question got put to them. Show us the studies you've done to say vaccinations don't cause autism. They had one study, and you know what the one study said? There is a connection. They didn't do any other studies, and they're very quiet about the one. Okay, so like legislators need to pay attention to that, because if our kids are getting autism because they've been vaccinated, do you know when the number of vaccinations exploded? Because when we were kids, what was it? Do you remember? How many? 2, 3, maybe 4, right? For us, right? Do you know what it is now? It's 70. 70. When did that happen? As soon as they gave immunity liability to pharmaceutical companies back in 1986. I love you, President Reagan. You shouldn't have done that, brother. As soon as they gave them immunity liability, the vaccination schedule has been going up ever since.
How many does Denmark have vaccinations, do you know?
I'm not Danish, but I do love
18.
18.
Only 18.
And they're doing better, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
They're doing better. So like the thing is, the government, like who makes the money on the vaccinations?
Pharmaceutical companies.
Who suffers the loss? We do. You got to have truth and transparency. Anybody else? I think there's a hand back there.
You talk about term limits. What are you going to do about all the bureaucracy behind the senators that just keep turning around and keep doing the same thing? You know, you get different people in front.
That's the deep state. That's part of it. I think you're right. Because I know that when I went into the Iowa Senate, there were people who had worked there many years, and they served the same people over and over again, and they try to steer you a little bit. They're not bad people, but if you have the same bureaucrats, like the point of his question is, how can we get different outcomes when the machine that's the apparatus that's supposed to undergird the sitting senators and congressmen are being led by the same people? You know what? I'm going to research that. Do you have any proposals that you've read about?
They got to go with whoever they're working for. They can only work whatever you set up term limits. They got to go too.
Now, what if somebody else gets elected and they hire those same people? Okay. I don't like the legality of that. I don't know. But I do know that is a very real problem, and we need to come up with a solution that's viable and that protects us. Because they actually trade jobs. Jobs are actually, so like if you let's say you land a job in bureaucracy. Take the Food and Drug Administration. Did you know that the Food and Drug Administration, that the people who oversee it, you know what they did before they did the Food and Drug Administration? They were CEOs and executives in the pharmaceutical industry. Do you think they're really interested in regulating the industry that they served in? It's, that's not really exactly on point with what you're talking about, but we do have a bureaucratic monster, and that is a threat, that is an existential threat to our freedom, and we're going to have to figure out, like, here's the thing. We have to have that moment of self-awareness where we say, not how daunting the challenges are, because, no, what can I do? You should ask yourself, okay, I don't deny the reality, but what can I do? That needs to be the question we all ask ourselves. I don't really have an answer for that. I will give, if Dale, if you get his name and number, give me a week to dive into that. That's a good question. Yeah.
Okay, you're a Republican and pleased to be, I'm sure.
Yeah, I am.
Want to promote the party all the way?
The party all the way, meaning I'm going to do
As
it.
a Republican.
So when I served in the State House, I think my voting record was, I won awards with CPAC.
What my question is this:
Right.
Why do you think the Republican Party as a whole is afraid to tell people they're Republicans?
I'm not afraid. You know, I believe in a republic because a republic means we're a nation of laws and boundaries, and you're not free without boundaries
But so many
and a constitution.
Republican candidates are afraid to let people know they're Republicans.
Not me.
I think I can answer that.
I'm a Republican.
I can answer
So
that.
you're
Yeah.
running against him and
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well as you.
I am unequivocally more authentically Republican than Ashley Henson is.
Jolene, what's the answer?
What's that?
What's the answer? The Democrats are so good at demonizing the other side.
Yeah.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
That's why. Yeah.
They are good
I
at that.
think people are so disgusted with the Democratic Party and what they're doing.
Not enough. So many
Yeah.
people don't know what's going on. They don't pay any attention, but they hear the Democrat. Republican bad, Republican bad.
Well.
Oh, well, they gotta be bad. Democrats have controlled the conversation
Yeah.
for way too long.
Well, did everybody enjoy the Biden administration as much as I did? Wasn't that fun? Horrible inflation, cats and dogs. It was like the worst 4 years I can remember of the biggest cluster mess I've ever seen in my life. And inflation, inflation exploded. And a lot of what President Trump is dealing with now is directly from them, because President Trump has actually repatriated a lot of our manufacturing base and brought strength back to our economy.
And gave us back our constitutional republic. And back to your question, answering with what he was saying. One, we have the Constitution of the United States of America. We do not need a convention to do any amendments on any of it. It's a separation of power. It goes back to we the people. It's our fault that we have not been electing persons, city, state, and federal, that believe in our Iowa Constitution. Constitutional money, just like you said, we need that back.
We do.
need silver and
We do.
gold. Kennedy was printing silver. I have silver $5 certificates. I'm old enough to say yes. I
Yeah.
have that.
Remember that?
And
Yeah.
so I take the blame. We have to be following the politics, because I would like to see the lobbyists gone. Let it be back. We the people and our wishes at the city, the state, and federal. There's nothing wrong with
You got to get behind them, though. So if somebody runs, like me, because I'm a we the people guy, those are the first words in the Constitution, right? I'm a we the people person. And I think the government is supposed to be of the people, by the people, and for the people. And I think that's pretty straightforward, right? Well, but the thing is when somebody's willing to do that, the people that are against that are very well funded by a corporate machine. The people that are actually for the people need the people to get behind them financially, because a lot of money goes through this process, and you need to get behind them. And that's one very concrete way to help somebody get elected who is a we the people person.
How do we deal with the Sharia law thing with freedom of religion?
You cannot supplant the United States Constitution with Sharia law. And
Well, I understand that part,
right,
but the argument is going to be, hey, this is part of our religion.
Right.
We have freedom of religion, and
Okay.
we're going to use the Constitution to
Right.
take over all of the government seats,
okay,
and then we'll do whatever the hell we want.
right.
So-
Well,
so Sharia law right now is in everyone's world is religion.
it's not. It's a
not
political.
government.
Yeah, it's a
I
political.
understand, but
It is.
The people look at it as a religion. I am
Okay.
Muslim, and Sharia law is part
Right.
of my religion.
But that,
You know what I would say to that
I'm
person?
not talking to you.
I would say to that person, this is what I would say. If you don't want to submit to the United States Constitution as the defining law under which we operate, then you need to leave.
Understand?
Simple as that. And, and like, if that were to come up before you come into the United States, you're going to swear an oath to the Constitution of the United States. And if we see Sharia law being practiced, it is beyond me how women could think that Sharia law was a good idea.
But there's nobody at
How could they?
There's nobody at the federal level cracking down on the
There's some.
policies of
There's some.
Dearborn, Michigan.
And they need to.
Yeah.
Because
Before
I
it
mean,
gets big.
yeah. Well, look what's happened to Ireland. Look what's happened to England.
Yes.
Look what's happened to France. Honestly, look what's going on in Texas right now.
Yeah.
Look what's going on in Michigan right now. Like, our problem is we love freedom, and we think the best of people who would take advantage of our good nature to literally supplant everything we believe with what they believe. And when I did missions work, I met a gal. Her husband was gone for 2 months, and she relied on him to take care of her and the kids. And he came home drunk, and he wanted to be intimate with his wife, and it was 3 a.m. And oddly enough, she wasn't that interested in a guy who hadn't taken care of the family for 2 months and drunk, and he bit a hole through her face and beat her with barbed wire. And I'm like, so I went to his chieftain, and I'm like, you're going to let that go? That's a family matter. That's a family matter. Can you imagine that happening here? Can you imagine being required to wear a burqa across your face and not be able to get a driver's license or not be able to get to vote, not be treated as an equal human being? That's America. For all the crap that people want to say about America, listen, America's the place where a woman's boundaries are respected. I'm not, right? I don't believe in abortion at all. But I do believe a woman should be treated as an equal. And when I saw that, and I actually visited a women's prison there, hundreds of women. And you know why half of them were there? They didn't have enough money to bribe the judge to stay out of there, so them and their little kids were in a prison. If you can imagine that. Innocent women who just didn't have a bribe. So going a little long here, but I care about how people are treated. I want people treated fairly. I want you to give them a fair shake. I don't want you to rob them blind or take advantage of them. And honestly, I'm seeing way too much of that. Anybody else?
Can I say something, Jim?
Yeah.
I just want to address the group, if that's okay, with
Yeah.
what we're asking for. I hope you guys have enjoyed what you heard today from Jim. He's a good friend of mine, and we need to get behind him and help him. I laid some of these palm cards out on the table. Would you please take them home with you and put it in the hand of your neighbor, or your friend, or even your pastor at your church? We would need to get his name out there, and this is such an easy way. Just take this with you. Even if you want a few more to take with you, I have a stack. I can give you more. I also have been passing this clipboard around. We'd love to get your information so we can stay in touch with you. We'd love to put you on our newsletter so you can stay up to date with the campaign. And if you want to get involved, because you guys are all influencers, and we would love for you to influence your friends and your family. If you'd be willing to do a little meet and greet at your house, a coffee appointment, I could come alongside of you and help you get that set up, make it as painless as possible. And Jim loves meeting with new people. We want to get into some of the churches. We want to get the pro-life groups. We want to get the 2A groups. So if you have those areas of influence, would you please connect with me? Would you please sign up? We do. I don't have many connections here in Boone County. Or
This is Marshall.
You're in Marshall.
We're just
You're in Marshall.
the other day.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm from Davenport, so I really need to make some connections to help Jim. We need to help boost him here in this area.
Yeah.
And if you can help me,
Yeah.
please connect with me afterwards.
Sure.
I would love to just to make that connection. Thank you.
Thanks. And then Dale's my campaign manager, and Stacy's our field director. Dale, what did you want to share?
I'd like to, the reason I'm working for Jim is he told the story about how he put his money where his mouth was. Jim, can you please tell everyone about that?
All right. This will take a few minutes, but it was 2001. You've heard this story. 2001. I'm at my office. It's like 5 o'clock at night. I'm getting ready to go home for dinner, and I'm hungry. And the phone rings. And there's a lady on the other end, and she goes, right off the bat, she goes, "I want to sue Planned Parenthood." And I'm like, "Well, so do I. Why do you want to sue them?" And she says, "I went there for an ultrasound 8 weeks ago, and they told me I wasn't pregnant. And I found out today I have 1 week to have an abortion." I'm like, wow. So I'm like thinking, how do I talk this gal out of this? And I said, "Could I ask you a couple questions? Would that be all right?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Why are you doing it?" And she said, "My husband just left me. I have 3 kids. I work at the Valentinos down the street. There's no way I can take care of a 4th child." And I said, "Well, have you ever thought about adoption?" And she said, "No." Like she was maybe going to consider that. And I said, "I got a proposal for you. I don't know if you're going to take me up on it, but I'm going to make it if that's all right. If I gave you $500 a month to carry that baby to term, and 3 months after, would you take me up on it?" And she said, "You would do that?" And I said, "I've got a check for you. Come get it." She was there 10 minutes later. And I gave her the check. And I looked her in the eye and I said, "I'll see you next month." And the next month came and went, and she didn't show. And I thought, I lost that baby. A year later, I got a beautiful thank you card in the mail with a picture of a little baby girl. She gave the baby up for adoption. A family in Nebraska, they were farmers. They adopted that little baby girl. And you realize in that moment, I got to be part of saving the life of another human being. Right? And that was amazing. And I said to God, I said, if I don't ever do anything else right my entire life, at least I get to be part of that. So 15 years later, I'm walking around, door knocking, running for the house. And I knock on this one guy's door, and he opens up the door, and he goes, Jim! Just like that. And I'm like, I have no idea who you are. And I'm like, no clue, which is really awkward because you're like wondering, why is this guy acting like he's my best friend? I have no idea. He goes, would you come in? And I said, yeah. He said, would you mind waiting in my living room? And I said, sure. So I stood in the waiting room, and a couple minutes later, this gal walks into the living room. And I looked at her and I'm like, you look really familiar. And she said, Jim, I'm Kathy. Oh, it was the mom. And we instantly, you start crying because you remember. And she said, I want to show you something. And she walked me in the kitchen. And on the refrigerator was a picture of a 15-year-old girl on a horse on a family farm in Nebraska. And I looked at that picture and I said to that girl, I said, you were with me that day in my office. You just needed a little help to get there. And you know, part of me thinks the same thing about our kids' future. They just need us to give them a little help to get to where they're supposed to go. And honestly, that experience kind of told me I could. And that is a beautiful story. That lady is 24 years old today, and she is a graduate student at the University of Kansas. Her mom isn't doing that great. Her mom battled with alcohol. I stay in touch with her mom. But she has a beautiful life and beautiful family, and I commend her mom for making the right decision.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you bet. Well, thanks very much. You guys feel like our flavor, our brand, whatever, we feel like we're comfortable with you guys, and we really appreciate you giving us this opportunity. So thanks very much, and God bless you. Thanks. Appreciate it, brother. Yeah, you bet.
In case you're interested, there's two petitions for county supervisor going around. Make sure you sign them. One's Bill.
Yeah.
Robert Marshall. This guy there, the beard right there, is a reporter. Would like to talk to you for a couple minutes.
Okay.
Thank you. God bless.